Zektar's forearms flexed as he strode into the galactic combat arena, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh artificial lights. The crowd of various alien species roared their approval from the stands above, their voices creating a cacophony that would have deafened most beings. But not Zektar. His species, the Cathara, had evolved on a world where sonic warfare was as common as breathing. Standing nearly 12 feet tall with razor-sharp claws extending from each of his four hands, Zektar was a nightmare made manifest. His compound eyes surveyed the arena floor with predatory satisfaction. Across the sandy battlefield, a single figure waited. A human. Zektar's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. This was almost insulting. The human stood barely 6 feet tall, possessing only 2 arms and 2 legs. No natural weapons, no exoskeleton, no enhanced senses that Zektar could detect. The creature's skin looked pale and soft, practically begging to be torn open. The betting pools had heavily favored Zektar, naturally. He was undefeated in 47 matches across 17 different worlds. He had torn apart Vorthak berserkers, crushed Titan-class war droids, and eviscerated the legendary sand wraiths of Kepler 442b. This human was supposed to be his 48th victory, a warm-up before facing more challenging prey. The human wore simple combat fatigues and carried what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons. Zektar's research had indicated that humans were a recently discovered species from a backwater world called Earth. They had only achieved faster-than-light travel within the last century and were considered among the weakest sentient species in the galaxy. Their homeworld wasn't even classified as a death world, just a mundane rock with moderate gravity and a breathable atmosphere. Ladies, gentlemen, and entities of various classifications, the announcer's voice boomed across the arena. In the red corner, standing at 12 feet and weighing 800 pounds, the terror of Proxima, the Cathara killing machine, Zektar. The crowd erupted. Zektar raised all 4 arms, basking in their adoration. And in the blue corner, representing the recently contacted species from Sol 3, standing at 6 feet and weighing 180 pounds, the human designated as Marcus Chen. The crowd's response was notably more subdued, with many making what sounded like disappointed chittering noises. Several beings in the stands were already counting their winnings. Zektar studied his opponent more carefully. The human, Marcus Chen, stood with an odd stillness that Zektar couldn't quite categorize. It wasn't the frozen terror he'd seen in many prey species, nor was it the aggressive posturing of natural predators. There was something else there, something that made Zektar's combat instincts twitch with an unfamiliar sensation. The human's eyes met his across the arena. Dark brown, unremarkable by most standards, yet Zektar found himself unable to look away. There was something ancient in those eyes, something that spoke of a species that had clawed its way up from the primordial mud through sheer bloody-minded determination. The signal horn blared. Zektar launched himself forward with devastating speed, all 4 arms extended, claws ready to rend flesh. His powerful legs propelled him across the arena in bounds that should have closed the distance in seconds. Marcus Chen didn't run. Instead, he moved with fluid precision, sliding to one side while drawing one of his primitive weapons. The projectile that emerged from the barrel struck Zektar's left shoulder plate, creating a spiderweb of cracks in his supposedly impenetrable exoskeleton. Impossible. Zektar's armor had withstood plasma cannons and molecular disruptors. This primitive kinetic weapon shouldn't have even scratched it. Marcus rolled beneath Zektar's second charge, coming up behind the alien warrior. Another shot rang out, this one aimed at the joint between Zektar's leg segments. The Cathara warrior stumbled, black ichor seeping from the wound. "What are you?" Zektar hissed in Galactic Standard, spinning to face his opponent. Marcus Chen's expression hadn't changed. He ejected a spent magazine and smoothly inserted a fresh one. "I'm what happens when a species spends 200,000 years fighting. Everything on a world that's actively trying to kill them," he said calmly. "I'm what happens when a people learn to make tools out of everything, weapons out of anything, and warfare out of thinking." Zektar lunged again, this time feinting with his upper arms while striking with his lower ones. Marcus anticipated the move, dropping prone and firing upward into Zektar's exposed abdomen. The shot punched through the softer armor plating, and Zektar screamed. The human rolled away as Zektar's retaliatory strike shattered the arena floor where he'd been lying. Marcus came up in a crouch, already tracking his next target. "Humans aren't the strongest," Marcus continued, his voice steady despite the deathmatch occurring around him. "We're not the fastest or the smartest or the toughest, but we're the most adaptable. We look at every problem and ask, how can I kill it?" Zektar's compound eyes tracked the human's movement, but Marcus seemed to anticipate every attack before it came. Another shot took out Zektar's right knee joint, then his left elbow. Each projectile found the weak points in his armor with surgical precision. "Your species evolved to be apex predators on your world," Marcus said, reloading again. "Ours evolved to be persistence hunters. We don't need to be faster than our prey. We just need to be more patient, more determined, and more creative in how we bring it down." Zektar made one final desperate charge, pouring all his remaining strength into a killing blow that would have decapitated most beings. Marcus stepped into the attack rather than away from it, using Zektar's momentum against him. A small blade appeared in his hand, another primitive tool, and found the one gap in Zektar's neck armor that even the Cathara themselves didn't know existed. The great warrior collapsed, his life essence pooling in the arena sand. "Marcus." Chen stood over the body, checking his ammunition count out of habit. In the stands above, the crowd sat in stunned silence. Many were frantically trying to understand how their calculations had gone so catastrophically wrong. The human looked up at the watching aliens, his expression still calm and unremarkable. "Humans aren't prey," he said, his voice carrying clearly, in the sudden quiet. "We're what prey becomes when it learns to hunt back." As Marcus walked toward the arena exit, word was already spreading throughout the galactic community. The humans from Sol 3 weren't the harmless newcomers everyone had assumed. They were something far more dangerous, a species that had spent eons turning their weaknesses into weapons and their limitations into advantages. Zektar had entered the arena thinking humans were prey. His mistake was assuming that prey couldn't also be predators.